Welcome everyone to Synchronous Online Teaching Strategies for Educators. My name is Theresa Wills. I'm an assistant professor at George Mason University and the Math Specialist Program. And what I'm going to share with you is the normal way that our program uses a rich math task and conducts the 5 practices in order to have a great discussion online. This is an example of my normal, and I'm here to share a bunch of ideas with you as you adapt this to your new normal. So let's go ahead and begin. You should have the link to the slides. What I'm going to do is copy and paste that into the chat box for anyone who doesn't have their email open or just needs quick access. And on slide 1 at the top are a couple useful buttons. I am trying to put up a new video. My goal is daily. We'll see how that goes. There's some frequently asked questions. There's some recordings. This recording will be going up within about 24 hours. You can also follow me on Twitter, you can send me an email, and you can register for additional PDs. I've done several parts, like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Those are all for general, they're not math specific. Some ones coming up, part 3 is really going to focus on strategies that are great for English language learners, specifically things like sorts and matching, and a couple translation apps. Session 4 that is not on there, but just a heads up is coming, is all about classroom management and accountability to make sure that you are still able to do the great teaching practices in making sure that you know how to manage students. So those are coming up in the PD registration. On slide 2 is a little information about the program at George Mason University. If you are interested in it after you see today's class, I'm happy to chat with you more about it, or you can click the link down there on that slide. Slide 3 is important because I want to make sure that everyone knows that this is not a theoretical class that you're in. These are actual responses from my students. This is tried and true, and this is what I do on a regular basis. So if you have questions, I usually have several answers, but more importantly, this isn't theoretical. This is something that has actually been done. Slide 4, if you come on down there. You're probably going to want to bookmark this. All the templates that you see in any of my sessions are available here, and I update it regularly. So there'll be more things involved there, but that's just a big bank of all the templates. I decided to make it a link because it was getting to be pretty big. Slides 5 through 10, everything that I refer to as the gray slides is like the history. Any sessions that I've taught previously, any parts, part 1, part 2, part 3. You'll see on slide 10 is the MATHurdays, so another of these recordings will be there, and you'll always have access to them. And then once you are ready to interact with us, come down to slide 11 and 12. They are duplicates. Put it on either one and share with us a success or a celebration that is happening in your world. You'll use the text box for this, and you'll just write directly on the slide. It's okay if it moves off to the side. You can change your font. And I'll ask a couple of you all to turn on your microphones and tell us a little bit more about this. Whoever said these sessions have given me a feeling of I got this. Tell us, like, what are you using? What is nice about this?
Theresa,
Yeah.
I can't get the slides up. Can you help me with that?
Yes, I can. So I was wondering if we would need overflows. Thank you, Courtney. Courtney just typed in the link. Let me know if that link doesn't work for you. Lori, you said this is your third session. Tell us a little bit about what's working for you.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Sure
This is
can.
Lori. Okay, great. So this is my third session, and this one's math. I'm a math teacher, and I just was kind of listening, and the whole time, the other two sessions, part one and part two, and just started thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? What's nice is after a week of kind of doing these sessions, all these ideas have started to generate, and so I'm really happy to be doing the math one today.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing your excitement. Who's making matzo ball soup? Tell us about that.
Hi, this is Laura Centuriate at Colin Powell Elementary School, and for obvious reasons, no one was traveling for the holidays, and it's one of my favorite traditions, but I just always let other people make it. So this year I rose to, there's lots of challenges we're all rising to, so I rose to the challenge and I made it, and I was trying to upload a picture because it was almost like a cookbook. It looked so good, but it was actually really good. So trying new things can be a great experience. Yay!
Yay, awesome. I'm so happy to celebrate with you. Molly, tell us a little bit. Is your craft space completely gone now, or are you able to work both the home office and craft space?
Yeah, good morning. It's everything in one, but it's way more organized. And I had a big closet of stuff that I had been accumulating. And now I've got some space for where I'm working out of the office and then all my craft stuff in a couple different places. But it's much more organized and it feels so much better.
Awesome. I'm sure that organization is making you feel a little more grounded too.
Yeah.
Um, awesome. All right, folks. Again, these are the successes and celebration slides. For those of you who've been to another session, you already know this, that there are some benefits of online learning with successes and celebrations. Like you get to preview what the students are going to say before they say it, and anyone who taught middle school knows the benefits of that. And you can get the most bang for your buck. But those of you who are here again, your level 2 little tip with successes and celebrations, it gets your students to class early. Because if you notice when we were in here, we were already writing and typing on it. Some of us were having casual conversations about it. The voice was available, the chat box was available, and people are connecting and enjoying the space. In addition, I usually have a couple extra slides for students to get their sillies out. So in a third grade class, for example, I might have slide 13. Any talk about Minecraft, because some of them were all in the same realm recently and they were doing some fun things. This is a chance to get kids to network together, to talk about the things they want to do, and it gives them a space to get their sillies out so that they can focus more in the math spaces. So there's lots of ways you can work that. All right, let's do some math. Join me on slide 14, and I'm also going to do a duplicate, slide 15. This is an example of which one doesn't belong. And what you'll do is you'll take one of those doesn't belong symbols and you'll pop it directly on top of the cupcake picture that doesn't belong. All right, if you'd stay on slide 14 and 15 for a few more minutes, try and find a different one that doesn't belong. Come on back up to slide 14 and 15. Try and find another one that doesn't belong. And finally, push yourself even further. Find a third one and think about the rule of why it doesn't belong. All right, if you join me on slides 16 through 18, you can pick any available text box, put your name, the letter that doesn't belong, and your rationale of why. As you read the other responses, if somebody said something very clever that you didn't think of first, would you turn their rationale into a bold font? So if it's clever enough and you didn't think about it, change it to bold. And one other thing to take a peek at while we have our discussion here is another way of doing this. If you like a little more organization, slide 19, this is where you could post, like, if you choose D and all the responses for D are here. What I find is when they're a little bit more scattered and all over the place, the students actually take the time to read them. But, you know, use your own pedagogical genius here and pick the slide that works for you. All right, I'm going to throw the pedagogy back at you all. What might you put in here? What do you like about these slides? How does this continue the craft that you use in your teaching? Go ahead and put a hand up or turn on your microphone to share.
I think that you could do this very easily with geometric shapes.
Yeah, lots of images could go in here, geometric shapes. That's actually what we're going to be doing today. How about those of you in secondary? Is this something that you can use way up in the high school or in primary? Either one. Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in primary actually, and I use I use this as a warm up once a week, and I use Splat and a lot of other math routines. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to use this with my doing the distance learning, and I am so excited right now, like totally math geeking out, and I love it.
Yay, so excited for you. How about secondary folks? Is this just a strategy for the little kids, or can we bring this up to secondary? What do you think?
Definitely secondary. I mean, there's all kinds of things. We use the illustrative mathematics, the open up resources, and many of the lesson launches are designed this way. So this is used quite often. I really appreciate the interactivity with bolding someone else's answer, because in the classroom setting, you would have someone maybe build off of someone else's response. And so that idea of how can you do it asynchronously or synchronously in this setting is great. Thank you.
Great. And Jan, go ahead.
I teach 6th and 7th grade, and my kids love doing these. I like it because I teach a wide variety of levels, and anybody can answer, and it kind of gives all the students a voice. There's no really wrong answer. They see different things, and I like the way that they share.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Um, Indeed. And those of you who are teaching high school, the upper level maths, consider when you're trying to first teach integrals and you put these little rectangles under the curve, you put trapezoids under the curve, you start to put these different shapes, and simply having 4 of those to talk about, all the different ways that you can approximate integrals. That is something that definitely relates to calculus and above. All right, cool. So we've got a routine. We've got a couple slides to get this routine going. Let's jump into our math task. Come on down to slide 20. Slide 20 is my breakout room slide. This lets me know how I wanted to break everyone out, about how long to spend on this. And you'll notice the directions are really pushing you for additional representations. Just so that we're clear, I am modeling the 5 practices, which means that I have anticipated at least 8 different ways you could sort the things that we're doing today. So if you think you're done with 1, consider that I'm looking for 8 and keep pushing yourselves. Slide 21 is why we do rich tasks. Coming from the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics and their Principles to Actions book, they recognize these 8 math teaching practices. I guarantee you will see all 8 of these shining bright in today's lesson. So I challenge you to look for these, ask yourself, which one maybe don't I use that often in my class? What do I want to use more? And be on the lookout for those. On slide 22 are the 4 types of representations to push yourselves further to consider. Concrete manipulatives can be anything you have in your house, and many of us can take pictures of them on our cell phones and upload it. Please do not feel limited to math manipulatives, because in my class we use a lot of Cheerios and beans. They are probably our most popular ones. Spaghetti sticks are another popular one. Feel free to use the technology that is out there. Use pictorial models. Use abstract notation. And on slide 23, if you would take a minute and read this problem-solving oath. If you agree with it, type your name in the chat box as your way of pledging your oath to this. And we can have our students do the same thing. I notice some people are feeling comfortable writing right on it. That's fine. You can write on it. You can write in the chat box. All right, here's our problem. Join me on slide 24. This is a problem that a colleague and I made one time when we really wanted to talk about triangles and we were hungry for scones. So here it is. Theresa was riding her bike home from the bakery, where she had just purchased some triangular scones. Each of the scones was perfectly sorted into one of 3 boxes. Unfortunately, Courtney, who was also riding her bike, was zooming and crashed into Theresa. Scones went flying. Now the girls need to sort the scones back into the boxes. Can you help them sort their scones? Be sure to explain how you sorted your scones. You can use words, numbers, pictures, symbols to show your thinking. And what you'll notice is on slide 25, there's some little tips about color coding. And slide 26 is what you're going to get for your group slide. You'll notice there's a couple key things to pay attention to in your group slides. A place for you to put your members' names. I would like to celebrate who had these great ideas, so please don't forget that. Down at the bottom, I can't really move my arrow to there, but there are the presenter's notes, and it says, please type the rule for the 3 categories here. Use color to communicate, and then duplicate the slides. So after group 1 creates one, they might need to go and duplicate and make another one for their group slide. After they've done a little bit more, they might need another one. And so they'll continue to make more duplicate slides for the 20 minutes that we have for this activity. If you're in group 2, you're just going to take this one and you're going to type in 2, and then you're going to type in your group members. I'm putting a lot of the work on you all. Be patient with yourselves. Let me know if you need any support. I'm going to be the one to put you in breakout rooms. You'll be able to see your breakout room if you go into Collaborate. There are many people in here who have attended before and can support you with knowing what group you're in. And I'll also pop in your room to make sure you all know where you are. Breakout rooms will start in 3, 2, 1, now.
So I was wondering, are we sorting them into 3 squares?
Well, I feel like since she had 3 boxes to start with, then that would be the best option, right? Because the problem says perfectly sorted into one of 3 boxes.
Okay.
Are all the scones the same size?
It doesn't look like it.
I think they're the size of the ones on that slide 26.
Yeah, I think A through O are those different scones.
Ah,
Yeah.
ah.
Oh, so she just said the boxes are not necessarily the same size. Where did that go? The boxes are not necessarily the same size and not necessarily the same shape. They're 3 categories. Okay, so I was thinking that we had to make like a perfect.
Okay.
So what do you all teach?
Geometry.
Yeah. Geometry.
Why don't we say our names and then say what we teach so that I can kind of connect that with each of you guys in the next 20 minutes?
Where do you want us to put in the chat?
Oh no, just turn your mics on and talk. I think so I'll start. Like, my name's Courtney.
Okay, so.
So if we start with, for these scones, if one of them is right triangles,
Sure.
make those yellow.
Let's see. So I'm thinking what isosceles maybe. And scaling. Right. Oh, were we supposed to color it in the position? I've been moving them. Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. I think both. I just added some color to it so they could stand out, but I think both.
Okay.
So,
I'm going kind of.
So bear with me. I can't seem to click it.
Hello, group. I saw that Jan had a hand up. Janet, did you have a question?
Oh, sorry. No, that was from before. I didn't take my hand down. Sorry.
Oh, no worries at all.
Sorry.
So what is our category?
So that's why we have to think. So
I think I see right triangle. Can I assume that A and G, K, those are right triangle because it doesn't have any mark there.
I
But it
think
looks like
maybe we can decide, are we trying to sort the triangles by size, or are we trying to sort the triangles by angles?
angles. Oh, okay. That's a
I
good
think
idea.
either way.
I think we get to decide that.
Right.
Mhm.
And did it say anywhere that the boxes are the same size? Because it could be that they're different sizes too.
It doesn't say that they're the same size. It doesn't say how many scones that there were total. So I'm thinking it's 15 scones and 5 in each box.
Right. Based on the assumptions that there are 15 and they're the same size.
Right. Based
Yeah.
on the assumption that they're all the same size.
Yeah.
Hi there, group. You all are making some really good beginning assumptions, but I do want to mention that the 3 boxes are not necessarily the same size. They're not necessarily the same shape. The only thing to really consider contextually in this problem is that there's 3 categories. So what's your rule for putting them in category 1? What's your rule for putting them in category 2? And what's your rule for box 3?
Okay.
So
I like the idea of someone said the right triangles, like maybe that's one category that all of these triangles in this one group are right triangles. That could be one category.
Okay, that sounds good.
Are we sorting the
Yeah,
rest
right.
of the triangles by the angles then?
So
we could-
maybe this one. Yeah, this one is. No, it's not.
we can either sort the triangles by the length of their side, or we can sort the triangles by the measure of their angles.
Right.
So
Mhm.
Okay, let's do right triangles, which would be great.
Okay.
So we put them in order by right triangles.
Mhm.
So you have all the right triangles together, all the acute, and then all the obtuse?
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, that'll be good. Okay, so it means obtuse.
So should I duplicate our slide to create the 2 other groups?
Oh, yeah, please.
At
Okay,
least one other group, yeah.
Okay,
And let's
I'll
go ahead
duplicate.
and color code the right triangles. So if we color code the right triangles,
Okay, so what color?
Okay, so we already have 2 slides for group 3, right?
Yep. So we just need one more
We just
duplicate.
need one more. Okay, I'll go ahead and then duplicate the second one.
okay, I'm coloring the right triangles, and please help me out because it's Saturday morning and I have 1 cup of coffee.
Good.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Right angle.
Color it.
I don't see another right triangle, do you guys?
No.
Only 4. Okay.
So all the ones with obtuse are going to be green?
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. Yeah.
I'm working on it.
We could do that on a separate slide if we want.
We probably can do it all on this one, and then
double check and slide things around.
I wish we had
Yeah,
a ruler on the screen.
I
Can
agree.
I wonder if I could like Google PNG.
Yeah, she talked about using like online tools, and I don't know how to do that.
Let me see if I can like copy
Is there
and
something in Google?
Hi there,
Or I
team.
think
There
Hi,
are
I
some
think
really cool things at your fingertips. For example, many of you have maybe a sheet of paper or a Post-it note or something else with a right angle in your office that you could maybe hold up to some of the triangles. You can also duplicate the shapes and rotate them to see if certain things are congruent.
okay.
yeah, because we have the scale at the top for where you like where margins and things would be, and so I guess we could hold them up there and use that as a ruler too. Although you just edited down a ruler perfectly, so way to go.
I don't know that it's accurate, but it would do the job, right?
Right. Well, because we just need to compare them to themselves, not to a finite measurement.
Right, because I'm thinking F is scaling. It looks like, you know, when you drop down the hypotenuse, it's going to be longer and not shorter. So I think this is definitely scaling. So let's make, I'll just change the color scaling. We'll just do yellow. Okay. Here. All right, so this one, it's hard when we're all on here because I don't know who, you know, is like going to move what.
I feel like the ones that are on the left side.
Yeah, I've been working specifically for 6th grade.
Okay. I've done a little bit of that because I'm worried about like going live and just like sounding ridiculous. But at the same time, I do want to try some of these things. So I think I'm going to try a hybrid of live and then I'll show like a little clip and say, okay, now let's try it kind of thing.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, I just put the link in the chat box of our Collaborate group, but you need to sign into Blackboard first.
Okay.
To access it.
Cool. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So we sorted in two different ways, right? Like the first one.
What happened to our slide? Okay.
I was like, oh.
35. And now we have 35 and 36.
Okay.
Right.
I guess because other people made a copy.
Yeah.
See, those are the things that I think like my kids would find confusing. So what I might do is say, I might make the copy before they start and say, you can work on slide 30. Because all of a sudden, if they're on like slide 35, I feel like they'd be like, oh my gosh, what happened? I can't do it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
For sure.
I think it's going to be a process for everybody, right? Like I remember when I was taking these online courses with Theresa and I had just started familiarizing myself with Google. It was a challenge at first, but then, you know, the more you use it, the more proficient you get. So I think we're just going to have to be patient and see how it plays out.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I love her. Like, I feel like this has given me a lot to try, and I feel like it's worth it to try it. If it goes horribly, like, I'm okay with it because at least I'm trying good stuff. So
Yeah.
this makes it more meaningful than me being like, okay, the right triangle is, so.
Agreed.
Hi there, group.
Hi.
I am seeing some great stuff on your slides. It looks like you are looking at the angles in one of them, or actually, it looks like it's in both. Did it change in your second one?
Yes.
So what's
So
your
we started looking at sides in the second one.
Cool. So angles and sides, I'm guessing we have a couple people who maybe teach in the 5th grade through 7th grade area.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to push you even further. How might you be able to use this in the younger grades? What type of characteristics do students in primary grades think about when they are sorting shapes?
The number of sides? So like 4, like 3, 4, I don't know. I don't teach younger, but maybe like the number,
Also,
like.
I was going to say they look at size. What's small, what's big.
And why is it important that students developmentally go through that stage and think about size? What does size mean in 5th through 7th grade?
You start thinking about like proportions and then similarity and that kind of thing.
You also measure them to find perimeter and area.
So it sounds like you have new categorical sorts right there with those things. Enjoy.
Oh, proportional. Oh, maybe we could do triangles that are similar, equal, or like it looks like L and O might be similar.
Like the top corner, but then it's not centered, so it wouldn't be isosceles.
Hi there, group.
So if I do it, oh, neat. If I do it to A, it's
I
perfect.
see we have measures by angles and by sides.
Great.
What's this third rule you all are working on?
We're almost getting there. We were just checking a couple things on our second one that we weren't sure, and then we noticed Michelle was sharing with how she was kind of measuring it by clicking on the box outside.
Very cool.
So we're changing a couple things, and we're about to go to our third one.
Yeah, we're a little slow. Group 4. Here we go. So now we need a third way to, okay.
And as you think of this third way, I'm going to probe you to consider the important characteristics that primary students, K through 2, think about and why that gets them set up for more middle school topics, which is kind of where you are right now. So really dig down low and think about those primary kiddos.
Well, it could be like triangles that are sitting up, triangles that are upside down, and triangles are sideways. Right. Are y'all into 31?
Yep.
Because sometimes you don't do the height right, when you start getting into area because your triangle is crooked. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it.
Or kind of in that idea like that kindergartners often think that it's like a wrong triangle if it's not with a flat bottom, or like if it's askew, something seems a little off.
Right. Uh-oh. It says I signed out. Sign back in. Okay, here I go. Group 4. Interesting. So the upside down, we can go that way.
So it's almost like the red ones are ready to be measured. Their height could be measured.
Mm-hmm. Well, except B.
Bottom. Right, that one.
That one's kind of still sitting straight up, but it's like
Right, yeah. Maybe that gets two colors. It's
Yes, let's do it. We'll put that in the middle somewhere.
yeah.
Oh, F goes over here.
Okay, it looks like we've got one more minute. So.
Oh my God. We need some help coloring these in, people. I'm just kidding.
So.
Well, now would A be, I mean, I know they would categorize it. It's not a good one, you know, but you could still do the height of that one. I don't know.
Right.
So red. Need. Flat bottom. Triangles with flat bottom.
So this other category is a flat top, but there could be some, it seems like.
No.
Testing, testing. Welcome back, everyone. How fast did that time fly? Welcome back to the main room. Welcome back. I went ahead and muted everyone's microphones, and when you are ready to speak, just go ahead and turn it back on. Welcome back to the main room. I'm glad you all had 20 minutes to explore this activity. I'm not necessarily modeling the amount of time that you give a student on this. What I'm doing is modeling the time that I would give teachers who have this great expertise on how to modify the assignment for students. So what I'm going to do next is model the 5 practices, which means kind of this step 0 is that I picked a rich enough exploration for you to have multiple entry points and multiple ways of solving it. I anticipated many, many, many different sorts and categories that I was looking for while I monitored. And when I monitored, what I did is I moved between the groups and I moved between the slides so I could see what everyone was doing. I have several Post-it notes in front of me right now in which I use to select and sequence the order that we're going to have our discussion in. And it's going to start off on slide 36. If we could all start there. Many of us started in a similar way to this. And also please note the table on the left on slide 36. It's a little off of their screen. And group 5, would someone kind of explain to us what was your thinking and how did you get here?
Hi, everyone. So for group 5, we started just pulling out the right angles initially, and then we went into the different kind of looking at the sides for the other ones. And so we made the 2 other groups. Our yellow group have sides, or at least 2 equal sides, and then our pink group have no equal sides.
All right, so I love the way you described your 3 categories and gave them clear descriptions. Let's look at slide 27, and we're going to compare these 2. Slide 27, would you tell us how you all decided to sort the triangles?
So we decided to sort them by the length of their sides as well. So we did, am I on the right slide? Yeah, 20. So we did all equal sides and then 2 equal sides and no equal sides. And we used a ruler. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're perfect. Keep going. That's great.
We were talking about the ways that we can measure because we first looked visually at them and then we were trying to, back that up with math. So we talked about different ways that we could do that. And so we Googled a ruler and pulled it in and cropped it and then used that to just kind of measure the sides to confirm what we were thinking.
Way to use your resources. And something else this group was mentioning is that it didn't matter if their ruler was inches, centimeters, or fake measurement, as long as they didn't change the size of that ruler. All right, your all's task. Much like in a classroom, I would have you move your head as you're looking at 2 different versions. You're going to move your mouse or your cursor. Look at slides 27 and 36. What's similar and what's different? Feel free to turn on your mic or type in the chat box when you see things that are similar and different.
So both groups identified scalene and isosceles, but one group did right triangles and the other group did equilateral. So one was kind of a hybrid and one was just all sides.
That hybrid is pretty interesting mathematically, and it's one that we want to get our students into really thinking about. Let's look at another one, slide 33. Group 3, would you tell us how you sorted these? On slide 33.
Yeah, I was in group 3. We sorted them by the measure of their angle. When you think about triangles, you can either, their attributes, you can either measure the length of their sides or also by their angle. So we did this one by their angles, their angle measures.
So in this point, we would probably, decompose this a little bit more with our students and talk about why some groups chose to just use angles, why some groups chose to just do sides. And then this really neat one on slide 36 decided to do a bit of a hybrid. Now, I am curious about something, and I wonder what other hybrids are possible. So let's think about that for a minute. Is it possible to be in 2 categories at once? I'm going to add a new slide. Slide 39. It is totally blank. And I'm going to ask some questions in slide 39. I'm going to ask, like, is it possible to be scalene and something else? And I'm going to let you all kind of fill these in. Is it possible to be isosceles and something else? I can never get the spelling of that one. Can you have both angles and sides together? Come on down on slide 39. Let's just fill this out as a group. And if you think it's yes, like, please go grab one of those, like, show us.
Isosceles and right.
And since you all are educators, I'm purposefully not trying to do all the work. I'm trying to give you opportunities to see what it's like to change your slides on the fly.
Letter and cute.
Great time to get into fundamental counting principle. How many combinations are there if you have 3 sides and 3 angles? And now at this point, we're getting into some pretty heavy math. If we are thinking about where students are on a continuum, maybe they're able to do things like categorizing by sides and angles, but if they can get into this stuff here, they're really reaching above a lot of just simple categorical things and into this reasoning and proof that's happening now. But in order to get into categories like angles or categories like sides or even double categories here, we need to use some language in the primary grades to sort. And Group 4 did a nice job of this on slide 31. So I'm going to ask you to come on up to slide 31. And Group 4, can you tell us what is developmentally necessary to get up to those sorts? What did you guys think about?
We thought about how kids will look at a triangle, and if it has a flat bottom on the ground, then it's a regular kind of triangle. But if it's upside down, it would be hard to look at height or base, and then I guess height, base, hypotenuse. I don't know.
Absolutely. So the way we look at things, that can definitely play a big part in this. Alrighty, so I want to have a few more voices in here. On slide 39, we started to talk about, is this possible? We're bringing the rigor up for reasoning and proof, but what other sorts might be necessary in the development of getting from things students can do in kindergarten to this matrix on slide 39? And any ideas here? Let's share what how we might use this. Chris, go ahead.
I'm sorry, before, I wasn't trying to answer that question. My question is, if I've got 30 kids in a class, how is it that you manage 30 of them trying to rearrange or answer a question in a chart at the same time? That seems to me chaotic.
Yeah,
when we were trying to all
so Chris,
fill
I will,
in
that is a
chart
very
39.
genuine and important question, and I will get to it afterwards. I'm going to do some classroom management tips and things like that. So if you wouldn't mind going to the very last slide and putting that in a virtual parking lot so that I can honor the importance of it and make sure I get to it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what other representations are needed here? Why might we want students to explore in this activity?
I think part of the exploration of just having a discussion of what the different types of triangles might be, how when you orient them or turn them, they might look a little different. And for some of us, or I had to look at a couple to say, is that really equilateral or is it just close to equilateral? And I think learning from each other and how they're trying to determine what the characteristics that they were looking for was really important.
Absolutely. What else? Jan?
I think there's a lot of productive struggle going on, at least for me. So I think, letting the different groups or letting people try and fill those in on the matrix enables kids to do that.
Yeah, Heather?
I was just thinking as we were doing this, I am not a math person, but for me, it was nice to hear everybody's discussions as they were talking about the different triangles. And then in my small group, I'm thinking of the students too, I'd be more willing to talk about it where I would not raise my hand in front of everyone. So I think this activity is great for those who may need a little extra help and will be happy to get that help from their assistance from their classmates rather than their teacher if they're a little bit shy about that.
Absolutely. That's something that I connect with very well also because I am someone who might not jump in right away, especially in a face-to-face group, unless I've had time to analyze the social situations, where when I'm online, I have a different sense of freedom. And then in our math talk, I would like to point out that I would use several more open-ended questions to try and figure out why can't we have equilateral right and why can't we have right obtuse. And because the students had enough time to explore the different shapes and categorize them, they are really going to be able to put context into those two questions. All right, let's go ahead and sum this up. On slide 42, I asked you all in previous weeks to think about the way you physically stretch. When you reach up to the sky as tall as you can, when you reach low as you can, and then when you do it again. When you do it again, you typically reach further up and further down, and you get better and better and better. I want us to think about this problem. On slide 43, and I'll make a duplicate, what grade level could access this problem? If you're in 5th grade, I want you to stretch up to 6th and 7th. Think about where they could go next. If you're in 4th grade, stretch down to 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. What can students do developmentally at those different grade levels? If you teach high school geometry, maybe you want to throw some measurements in there or talk about things like angle, 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 side, angle, side. Make a matrix of which ones are possible. Someone said 6th and 7th grade area and perimeter, but a very developmental step for 2nd graders is sorting those by size, which is really area or height. All right, folks. Well, thank you for sharing your math with me today for our MATHurdays. I'm going to spend the rest of the time talking about other templates that you could use and taking questions. When you implement things like this, go slow, start with one, maybe start with a smaller group of kids and do a couple different sessions till they get to be able to use the tools. Give your students grace and give yourself grace. Like I said, this is my normal. I hope that you're able to adapt some of these strategies to your new normal. And at this point, I'll go through some different slides, templates, and questions that might be useful. Slide 45, if any of you all are sorting quadrilaterals, there is a template for you right there. You could do something similar. If you do not like the chaoticness that my slides provide, you might use something like slides 46. Personally, I embrace the chaos. I think that there's a lot of opportunity when we don't put too much structure on the students, but different people have different pedagogies, and I want to respect that, and you might have more success with slide 46. If you're wondering, this is great and all, but my students don't know the Google, I'm going to motivate you to assume that they know more than you think. And I would give them a scavenger hunt like the one on slide 47. Change the context, make it work for you. But in here, I'm explicit about why I want students to do things like write their name on a slide, take a photo of themselves and upload it, because I want to know, can you copy paste? Can you upload things from your phone? Can you, copy and paste clip art? And those are important skills that I want to develop in my classes. Slide 48 and below are templates from this slide deck, and there's a link there for even more. And if you join me, many people have already commented on the virtual parking lot. That's our very last slide. It will always be the very last slide because that's a norm that I do with my students so they know where to go. And I'm going to spend the rest of the time taking some questions. So thanks for a great Mather Day, and I look forward to seeing many of you guys in future sessions. If you can't make the time to join the session, subscribe to my YouTube and you'll get the recordings. All right, let's see what questions we have. How do you make sure kids don't go back to the Minecraft slide during the lesson? I'd have kids that want to do that the whole time. So there's several things that I'm going to present in session part 4, just a heads up, about classroom management in virtual learning spaces. Much the same way that I can't control if my students are daydreaming about Minecraft or using the manipulatives in what I think is a math way, but really they're starting to create little Minecraft characters. I got to realize that people are going to do what's interesting to them. So I want to give them a space for it. I want to value that, and then I want to make sure that I'm using my regular classroom strategies to make sure that I pull them into the math. So I might say, Jared, I know you're doing a lot of work on the Minecraft slide. I'm going to ask you to present slide 36. Can you be ready with a sales pitch that's going to be so amazing that everyone's going to want to steal your idea? And so I'm using just regular classroom strategies there to kind of pull them in. But if I don't give them the Minecraft slide, I'm going to get Minecraft on my math slides. So I try and give them a separate space. Do you have to have a Gmail account to interact with Google Slides? No, there's 2 ways of sharing Google Slides. And what I'd like to do is share my screen so you all can see this. When I want to share these Google Slides with somebody, I'm going to come up to the share button. And there's 2 options for sharing. You can either type in your class roster email address, which works great if you have Google Classroom or students have a Google account. Then you can see their names. So you'll be able to see that Theresa Wills is typing here. If you want to just share with anybody, all they need is that link, and many of them will show up as anonymous. Anonymous works great when it's purposeful, and having students' names on here works great when it's purposeful. Just figure out what your purpose is. How do you manage an activity like Chart 36 where you have everyone participate and I have 33 students? In this class, I have 30. In others, I've had as many as 75. Some tips that I do with large classes is I'll create duplicate slides, and I'll say if your birthday falls in the summer, use the first slide. If it's the spring, the second, the fall, the third, and the fourth winter. And that way I just kind of separate them out a little bit more. And students can still go to the different slides. I'll create breakout rooms. And one other tip that I'll do if I have a lot of students is I will make copies of it. So if at any time I'll just go to copy the entire presentation and I'll create a copy. I've also created copies throughout the session just in case I need to revert back to anything. Google has the ability to revert back. I just quite frankly find copying to be way easier than reverting back. So if someone does something that a slide disappears, I can quickly and easily bring it back in. Help with breakout sessions. I tried breakout sessions with 9 kids. I couldn't figure out how to get into their groups. Well, let me show you. Let's stop sharing this one and share this one. You're going to see a little hall of mirrors here, but you really only need to pay attention to the white bar on the side. When I do breakout rooms, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do a custom assignment, which I find really nice when I have predetermined groups and put them on slides. All I do is create these empty rooms here, hit start, and they're still empty. Like students can move down into them on their own time, but they're just empty places where they can then move in. My computer's lagging just a little bit here. And what I'll show you is there's a little green arrow that allows you to move into all these different rooms. Yes, in Zoom and in Collaborate, you can also pre-assign and randomize. But I would just click this little green arrow to go right into it. And then I'm in there with the students. You can also randomize it. You can randomize it in lots of different groups. Like I might have 16 groups if I want you to pair share. A strategy I do in the classroom also. But when I have too many students who want to participate or not enough students, I usually do a pair share. And here it shows you that I have 3 attendees in one group and 2 attendees in 13. Is Collaborate free? I believe it is with the Blackboard suite. Many schools use Blackboard. If you don't, Zoom is free. And it does basically all the same things. I just have more experience with Collaborate, so that's what I use. Can the which one does it belong activity be done right on Collaborate Ultra, or do you have to use Google Slides? This is a great question. Here's how you can modify it. If I share my screen into Collaborate, it is not interactive. It's great for sharing, but it's more used for direct teaching. So if you wanted to interact on Collaborate right now, you wouldn't be able to. And there's some things people can do with interactive whiteboards. I don't find them nearly as user-friendly as opening Google Slides. And when I've done this with a whole class of 3rd graders, it only took us 5 weeks of just really purposeful, like once a week I gave them a new strategy to use. They practiced it for a week. Another week I gave them a new strategy. And then by the end of the 5 weeks, they were doing everything that I'm doing. Like there was nothing they couldn't do in Google Slides. So I think that students are actually more capable of doing things than we might assume. But this way of putting it in Collaborate just isn't as interactive for me. Thanks so much, everyone. Have you scheduled part 4 yet? No, I haven't. It's usually going to start on a Sunday. I'll try and get that up today. Dana, if you put them in Collaborate like I did right now, they're not interactive. They're mostly in a form of like direct teaching. So people can do some fun things like that. Chris, you can take sessions in any order. It doesn't really matter. They're just different so people can get different strategies. How do you stay updated with your sessions? If you follow me on Twitter, I let people know when there's new sessions available. All right, folks, happy Saturday. Thanks for sharing your math with me today. And I hope you're able to use some of these templates right away in your math instruction.
Thanks, Teresa. Have a good one.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Happy Easter.
You're welcome. Thank you.